Speaking there, let's listen in.
That we have gone through that process, successfully had a government sworn in, the president has been inaugurated, and we have a government in place. I want to thank you very, very sincerely for your work and for what you did to see us through that particular time in our history as a country. And over the recent months, we've noticed cases of, provocation and aspects of bits of incitement. I want to thank you, IG, and your colleagues for your very responsible and strategic behavior last Tuesday. Many people may not know, many Kenyans may not know, that we were very close to having a bloodbath if you didn't take the smart decisions that you took. And good people, this is the stuff that builds a country, that we are able to go through situations such as those successfully and keep our people together. That is the responsibility that we have. There are times when in a country like ours, with a liberal constitution, some of us are not as responsible as they ought to be. And we have been called upon, and I can assure you we are going to be called upon as we keep going to ensure that our country remains secure, remains safe, and all the constitutional and lawful activities that have got to happen in our country go forward. Therefore, on behalf of my colleagues in the rest of government, I remain very grateful to you, our police team, for the excellent job that you did on Tuesday and the excellent job you continue to do to ensure that our country remains secure and safe. Now, the elections are behind us, and my first request to all of us is going to be that we step up to the new responsibilities of focusing not just on the priorities that have been outlined by the Inspector General and that you are going to focus on as you move forward, but looking at the broad picture of ensuring that we keep our country secure and safe as we move forward. I thank you for the tradition that you have kept of always meeting together as commanders and planning as a country, so that we are all on the same page as we move forward, and so that wherever you are in the country, you understand what our focus is supposed to be and how we can deliver on the responsibilities that we have. I promise on my own behalf and on behalf of my colleagues from OP that we will continue to support you. In the last few months, I have had the honor of presiding over the official opening, official launching of the new police housing units that we are putting up. And I want to tell you this because I know it for a fact that our president is so committed to ensuring that we address all the conditions and terms of service for our police. That is why you will see a renewed and stepped up efforts to increase the provisions for accommodation for our police officers across the country. That is where you will see a renewed energy and a renewed focus in the police modernization program, so that we give you modern equipment, enable you and support you better to provide security to our people. That remains a priority for us. And as we go forward, I know that we will have time to have discussions on some of the things we need to look at. Yes, Rome was not built in a day. There's room for improvement. There's more we need to do. But I'm grateful that we are now all focused on enhancing the terms and conditions of service for the police, the conditions under which you work and under which you operate, and will continue to provide resources to support that. As we go along, it's good that the IG has outlined this. We need to be alive, and probably no one knows this more than you as the commanders, that we face various challenges to the security of the country. Terrorism still remains a matter of concern. Our porous borders with some of our neighbors remain a matter of concern. And as we go forward, cat rustling and human trafficking remain issues of concern to all of us. One would expect that over 5 decades after independence, we would have dealt with some of these issues like cat rustling and so on, and some of its manifestations, which are very problematic issues even to the development of some parts of our country. But they continue to be there as we go along. So I urge you to look at more and innovative ways of dealing with some of the problems we have had in this country that have been with us for a long time. I cannot understand how and why we are still worried about, or we are still facing the challenges such as we face with cat rustling in the country. This is a serious problem. And it looks like we are not even succeeding to eradicate it in some parts of the country. It continues to linger as we go along. I think this time round, IG, I want to ask you that we need to adopt a very robust approach to this, even if it means having meetings with our political leaders, members of parliament, because there are elements of our political activity that also abate some of the crimes that we are dealing with. Whatever it will take, let us have conversations, plans, and see how we can address some of these challenges. Human trafficking remains a very serious issue. And on this particular one, IG, I want to register my disappointment that, you know, when people are trafficked, aliens are trafficked, and people move from Moyale to Namanga, and they drive along the road where we have roadblocks, and we have our officers there. We have to find a way of sustaining the confidence of the people that we lead. How can we explain to the people of Kenya how you can move aliens from Moyale to Namanga and we have not arrested them as we go along? This is an issue we need to address as we go along. And I believe, I want to urge you very sincerely that when you are discussing strategies and ways of going forward, you will look inwards and see what it is that we can do to address this problem of human trafficking, to address the problems that are associated with our management of traffic on the roads. We have been criticized heavily because of the challenges we have in our traffic department. And honestly, as senior officers, I want to tell you, as a citizen of this country, we have to bring this matter to an end, one way or the other. And IG, even if it requires that we apply somewhat tough and ruthless means to sort this out, so be it, including letting go those of our officers who are not doing the right thing and, of course, by dint of their conduct, hurting the reputation of the police across the board. We should not allow this to happen. We have to candidly approach this issue and resolve it. Our people continue to die. We cannot also throw our arms in the air and say it's others who are supposed to do it, whether they're in transport or matatu or whatever the case may be. We have a role to play, and let us play our role first before we even ask others to play theirs. We have to address this issue, and I think it's one of those I hope you will spend time discussing as you go along. Another problem that we have to address now is cybercrime. We are policing, or we are offering policing services in a very difficult world and in a very difficult environment. Cyberbullying, cyber terrorism, and the level of cybercrime in our country is rising as it is elsewhere in the world. But we have no reason why we should not confront and decisively address the problem of cybercrime in the country. If we don't address this issue, together with the rackets that it sustains, the extortion rackets that it sustains, we are going to destroy our society in the long run. And these networks extend very far. Some of them probably enjoy patronage from formal structures of government and formal structures of our policing institutions. So the time is now for us to take a firm and decisive step to wipe out the challenges we have with cybercrime in this country. This has persisted for far too long with a measure of unbelievable impunity. So that there are cyber criminals that we know whose business is to extort resources, damage reputations, steal funds from banks and other financial institutions, and they walk around scot-free. Why should they? How come we have not apprehended some of these people, taken them through the legal process as expected of us, so that they can be punished, and so that some of these people can be helped to live differently, as it were. So IG, this is another thing I think we need to pay attention to as we go forward, and I hope that we will this time round confront it. I have had conversations with you, I've had conversations with the new DCI, and said for sure if there's something we have to deal with, we have to take on these cyber crime networks in our country. They have thrived for far too long, supported by funds they extort from others, and as I said, probably enjoying the patronage of certain form of structures amongst us. We cannot have this in our society. We have to sort this out once and for all. I want to remind you, colleagues, as we meet here, that the government has changed in terms of approaching our coordination responsibilities. I'm grateful, IG, that you have addressed this issue already with the commanders, and as you go forward, we would like you to understand that we want to coordinate ourselves in a manner that facilitates the delivery of our services as we go forward. I have to be honest with you and say that there are areas where in the past, even during the elections last year, we had serious challenges on account of just very simple things like coordination, where the regional commissioner chairs the regional security team, or the county commissioner chairs the county security team. Certain decisions are taken, and then we begin a process of pulling and shoving amongst ourselves. And we hide behind, this silo attitude of we have to consult others. I have not been told by the commander of the administration police. I have not been told by the commander of the Kenya Police. My brothers and sisters, we serve one government, one people, in one nation. We now have to learn the lesson of working together and knocking down some of these barriers that we have created that inhibit our delivery of services. And therefore, going forward, we would like to see greater and better coordination. I support fully the decision that the IG took, and when you discussed it, I want to assure you, you have the support of us 100% to even cascade responsibility down and give these commanders certain field responsibilities to take decisions without referring to the headquarters. Because they are the people on the ground, they're out there. When situations arise and they need to take decisions, let people feel that we trust them enough to take certain decisions without referring backwards, so that we can deliver the services we need to deliver as we go forward. And therefore, I support that new approach. A new framework of coordinating our services is critical. It's actually now been declared, and we are going to have joint meetings, from time to time with our national government administration officials, so that you understand how we want to work and support the management of government services across the board. We've spoken quite a while about illicit brews, illegal gambling machines in the villages, muggings, challenges we have with land grabbing, especially for those of you who work in urban areas. We have invasion of private property by individuals. We have to fight these challenges together. On the illegal gambling machines, I want to repeat it here again. We have agreed with the national government administration officials. We will collect these illegal gambling machines from the villages and from wherever they are. I want to ask you to be ruthless, to be firm, and not to be intimidated by anybody.
Interior CS Dr. Fred Matiangi at an annual conference where the Inspector General of Police is meeting all commanders. He's spoken on a wide range of issues. He's spoken of the state of the nation and the current measures that are being carried out, of course, in regards to matters to do with NASA leaders and so forth. He's taken time to speak about internet terrorism, warning that those who misuse the internet will be cracked down on. He has spoken about inter-county conflict and what needs to be done to tackle that, saying that it's unacceptable in this day and age to have such conflicts. And before we came into studio, he briefly talked about gambling and some of the worries and fears regarding that as well. That was Dr. Fred Matiangi there at the Kenya School of Governance. Well, at this time, now, to all our online viewers, we want to tell you what is trending online on all social media platforms, alternative media. And to help us do this, we bring in Brian Okoth.